It's a deal. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan strikes an agreement in Baghdad to end the standoff over weapons inspections. U.S. troops still on guard in the Gulf as the White House waits to see the agreement's fine print. And 60 Minutes correspondent Mike Wallace goes behind the scenes with the Secretary General in Baghdad.
This is the CBS Evening News with John Roberts.
Good evening. After 2 days of intensive negotiations, United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan says he has a deal with Iraq, and it would appear, based on the information coming out of Baghdad tonight, that it satisfies the major condition required to avert a U.S. military strike. CBS News correspondent Vicki Mabry is in Baghdad, where she has been following the negotiations. Vicki?
John, there's a real sense of relief in Baghdad tonight because the crisis that appeared to have been headed inevitably toward war now seems to have been resolved. The Secretary General expressed optimism as he left for his meeting with Saddam Hussein. The framework of an agreement was done, but one substantive issue remained, and it was described as a possible deal breaker. The issue was a time limit for inspecting the 8 disputed presidential sites. Annan and the Security Council demanded unlimited free access. Saddam reportedly wanted a 60-day deadline. At the end of his 3-hour meeting with Saddam, Annan sent word that they were on the verge of a breakthrough. But it was not until his evening meeting with the Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister that the deal was finalized.
We think this agreement faithfully fulfills the 2 criteria we set for ourselves at the beginning: full respect for the Security Council resolutions on Iraq and preserving the integrity of the UNSCOM inspection process.
Skeptics already question how long it will be before Saddam finds a way to extricate himself from this agreement, but there's a benefit for compliance.
We hope that this agreement tonight will be the next step by Iraq towards full implementation. And once that's done, once the disarmament.
Annan briefed representatives of the Security Council by phone several times today. He will not announce the terms of the agreement until he has met with them in New York. But it's clear the UN delegation in Baghdad expects full acceptance. The final wording on the document is done. They expect to have a signing ceremony here in Baghdad tomorrow morning. Then Annan leaves for New York, probably to brief the Security Council by Tuesday afternoon. John?
Vicki Mabry in Baghdad, thanks. With the exact text of the document still not known at this hour, also in question, is it enough to satisfy American demands and the requirements that the United States has laid down to call off military action? Cheryl Atkinson is at the White House and joins us now with the latest. Cheryl?
Well, certainly, John, the Clinton administration is hopeful there has been a real deal, meaning one that meets U.S. specifications, but they're remaining carefully skeptical and publicly silent until they get an official formal briefing.
Here's how the information from Baghdad will get to President Clinton. The UN Secretary General is expected to brief the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Bill Richardson. He will then brief Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, who will then likely be the one to brief President Clinton, and that, we're told, won't happen today. Earlier, President Clinton refused to tip his hand on rumors of a possible breakthrough. He continued his coalition-building work with allies. Key administration officials warned against too much optimism in the talks in Baghdad.
We have to be very cautious in not having unrealistic expectations or get so anxious over the breakthrough that we omit to look at the details of the proposal.
And when word came out of an agreement, a White House spokesman only told reporters that nothing had changed from the skeptical stance Clinton administration officials voiced hours before. Madeleine Albright has made it clear that the U.S. will go forward with military action if it's unhappy with the deal brokered by the UN Secretary General.
It is possible that he will come with something that we don't like, in which case we will pursue our national interest.
And here's a crucial point. No matter what the agreement says on paper, U.S. officials are telling us the real test will come when UN weapons inspectors demand access to a suspected weapons site. That, they say, will be the key to telling them whether Saddam Hussein will be keeping his latest promise or whether the U.S. will once again have to threaten war. John?
Cheryl Atkinson at the White House, thanks. In Kuwait tonight, where they remember all too well the dangers Saddam Hussein represents, reaction to the news has been swift. Barry Peterson joins us now from Kuwait City. Barry?
Well, John, there may be cheering in the rest of the world, but there is going to be jeering here in Kuwait. People here don't want Saddam's name on a deal. They want, as one Kuwaiti put it, Saddam's head on a platter.
They still live with the sorrows of the Gulf War, and there are bomb buildings kept as a reminder of Iraq's invasion. Later this week, Kuwait celebrates Liberation Day, when Allied forces rolled into town. Political science professor Abdullah al-Shayeji says the scars of the war on Kuwait's people will not heal until Saddam is ousted or killed, a solution he says would be applauded around the Arab world.
What we would like to see is to deal with the situation head-on, to tackle the issue, to take the bull by the horns, and to cut off the head once and for all. Everybody will be happy.
U.S. soldiers are hopeful. If the deal sticks, they won't be facing Iraqis over the barrel of a gun.
If it's an all-out resolution, it'll increase my mood tremendously.
It would definitely be a morale booster. You know, everybody would hope that we can find a diplomatic solution because nobody wants to go to war. Nobody wants any further conflict.
In the Arab world, this deal is not going to be seen as the end of anything. It's just another chapter in a book that you might title Saddam Hussein, the man who threatens and frightens and will again. John?
Barry Peterson in Kuwait City. Thanks. 60 Minutes correspondent Mike Wallace has spent much of the past 3 days with Kofi Annan for a profile on tonight's 60 Minutes. I talked with Mike just after the deal was announced about the image the Secretary General has projected.
The question that's been asked about Kofi Annan, who's a remarkable fellow from Ghana, who will be 60 years old come April, is he tough enough? Does he have enough steel? Because he's such a quiet-spoken, understated person. And what he has done is proved, first of all, he had to negotiate with the Permanent Five, especially the United States. He had to get from them an understanding of what they were willing to let him negotiate and some room for him to wiggle. Well, he negotiated with them, got what he needed, and then he came here to Baghdad. Once here, he sat down over a period of I don't know how many hours altogether, somewhere between 8 and 10 hours with Tariq Aziz, and 3 hours this afternoon with Saddam Hussein. 1 hour of that was one-on-one with Saddam Hussein and an interpreter, and he came away, according to what we have been hearing over the last half hour since we have heard from Fred Eckhart, Kofi Annan's press secretary, he came away with what he came here for.
You can see Mike Wallace's profile of the Secretary General on tonight's edition of 60 Minutes later on CBS. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, the White House under fire. Monica Lewinsky's attorney says she stands by her affidavit. Also, this man's flight to misery and how you could fall victim as well. And on closing day, Japan beats the drums for the Winter Olympic Games.
At Ragu, we've always figured the trick to making a delicious pasta sauce is to start with tomato, add some spices, and then a touch of Parmesan. But then we said, why not start with a cheese? Introducing new Ragu roasted garlic Parmesan sauce. We took real Parmesan cheese and kissed it with a touch of roasted garlic. And the tomato? Just toss it in the salad. New Ragu roasted garlic Parmesan sauce. It's the best thing to happen to pasta since the tomato.
This is what your house feels like on the new Coldwell Banker Real Estate website. It attracts lots of attention, so your home can be seen by thousands of buyers every day until it's sold. Online, on the phone, or in person. Coldwell Banker, making real estate real easy.
This town counts on me. No time to get slowed down by irregularity. My doctor suggested Metamucil, the only leading brand with 100% natural fiber.
Keeps me regular gently so I can keep up.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
After his heart attack, Ed's doctor told him to exercise and take aspirin regularly. So he takes genuine Bayer aspirin to help prevent a second heart attack. But then there are those days when Ed's muscles ache and Ed could use extra strength Bayer. Nothing is stronger for pain. If you're on an aspirin regimen, you don't need Tylenol because doctors say you can take more aspirin for pain.
How are your legs?
Great. Race you home. Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
Here's the latest on the White House under fire. Monica Lewinsky's attorney, William Ginsburg, says immunity negotiations with Kenneth Starr are at an impasse. Ginsburg said Lewinsky stands by her affidavit that she did not have a sexual relationship with President Clinton, but acknowledged the relationship apparently was a, quote, complicated one.
I am told by people that of the 10,000 interns that have served at the White House, apparently no one had a speaking relationship with the president, and she did. So if that means complicated, then indeed it was complicated. But I don't think I can imply or you can imply anything further than that.
And claiming that he's not being paid appropriately, Ginsburg also said he'd welcome the creation of a legal defense fund to help cover the cost of Lewinsky's defense. Attorneys general in 28 states have reached a deal over something you've probably seen in your mailbox, announcing that you may be a millionaire. The odds against winning the American Family Sweepstakes are up to 200 million to 1. But Jeffrey Kaufman found many people learned that the hard way.
Like at least 20 others, 88-year-old Richard Lusk flew to Tampa to collect his millions, only to discover he'd been suckered. It's easy to see why this bewildered man and many other Americans thought they'd hit the jackpot. Look what came in the mail, an official-looking certificate from American Family Publishers, boldly announcing that Richard Lusk is the newest $11 million winner. And hey, Ed McMahon and Dick Clark are behind this, so it must be true, right?
The way I read that darn thing, there isn't any ifs.
But look closely. There are some ifs, like that small one up in the corner. The small print says you have to have the winning number. It's a marketing gimmick that over the years has probably touched every American household, selling magazines with seductive offers of multi-million-dollar sweepstakes. But what was just a classic hard sell is now being investigated by at least 28 states.
It creates the impression that you have won, and this is misleading.
Even this Georgetown University law professor was fooled. Now he's launched a class action suit against American Family Publishers. Since then, the law school has been deluged with thousands of letters and phone calls.
These are extremely devious and compelling, brilliantly evil solicitations.
While the company, owned in part by Time Warner, has withdrawn the most controversial mailings and is taking out ads to alert senior citizens, it insists it has done nothing wrong.
I think they're perfectly legal. I think you've got to look at the mailings and you can see that they, like other advertising, use exciting headlines to get your attention.
They certainly got Richard Lusk's attention, and investigators too. Jeffrey Kaufman, CBS News, New York.
Coming up on tonight's CBS Evening News, what's behind the shortage of nurses at our hospitals? And military exercises with a difference. How the Army copes with pregnant soldiers.
When I feel fresh, I can embrace. I can share. Laugh. Reach. I can shout. With Always odor-absorbing panty liners, you're free to be and do what you choose. Only Always panty liners have a unique core and a fresh weave cover that work together to help keep moisture and odor away from you, so you can get that always fresh feeling every day. I can let go. All these panty liners from Always. Feeling fresh is being free.
Pizza! Pillsbury pizza crust. Just unroll, top it any way you like it, and bake for a crisp golden crust.
Nothing makes pizza as rock and roll like my Pillsbury pizza crust.
Now with new Polygrip Ultra Fresh, I don't have to worry about denture odor. It says that it controls denture odor, and it really does. Polygrip Ultra Fresh holds a long, long time. And the Polygrip Ultra Fresh controls denture odor perfectly, perfectly.
Today, people of all ages are out there doing, refusing to give in to the aches and pains of life because of an advanced medicine called Advil. The relief is glorious. Advil works fast, right at the site of arthritis pain, stopping it where it starts. Arthritis to muscle aches to headaches. Advil relieves all kinds of pain. Advil simply lets people do what they love to do.
If Nagano had a yen to host the Olympics, they also had the yen to host the Olympics. How Nagano turned Japanese yen into Olympic gold, tonight on 60 Minutes.
When you wear makeup, wash your hair, or give your baby a bath, you may be putting your health in jeopardy. Learn the dangers. Also, what women should know about heart disease.
This week
on This Morning.
The growing number of women in the military is changing the face of our uniformed services and providing career opportunities for women unheard of just a generation ago. But with those changes also come some unfamiliar challenges. That's tonight's Sunday Cover, how one military base is dealing with the issue of pregnancy in uniform.
4, 3, 2, go!
It is 6:30 in the morning, and the women of the 101st Airborne Division are moving to a new beat. Mandatory Army physical training has been modified for these soldiers for one reason. Everyone here is pregnant.
Doing pretty good, and I like it. Gives me more energy.
Sergeant Stephanie Markham is one of 250 expectant soldiers in a new program at Fort Campbell, Kentucky called STARS, which helps get soldiers back into their units in better shape after giving birth. A big problem for Sergeant Markham after the birth of her daughter 4 years ago.
I had no standard in physical training. I could barely run. Sit-ups were impossible. It was very hard, and I was very hard on myself to get back into shape because the units looked at you like, you know, you're not really doing anything until you pass that first physical training test.
As women in the Army, we're again still a minority. There's more men, and so the men expect us to be physically fit and to continue to do our job at the level we've always done it.
Captain Ann Sigwin is a nurse midwife who helped start the program and believes it will help quell any tension over women who can't meet the Army's physical requirements before and after giving birth. The program also includes prenatal education classes. Here, the enemy is morning sickness, and crackers are the weapon of choice. At Fort Campbell, the STARS program is a valuable asset to maintaining combat readiness in one of the Army's elite units. Women who want to become mothers are lost only for a short period of time and return in top physical shape. It's a necessary strategy in an Army that wants to open up more jobs of responsibility and leadership to women.
All kinds of deployable jobs are opening up. All kinds of combat MOSs are starting to open up to females. And if they wanted to just be a mom and have a job during the day, the Army is not that kind of job.
Already, Stephanie Markham has locked horns with her staff sergeant husband over the amount of time their daughter now spends in daycare, let alone what would happen if they were both deployed.
We've had our discussions about it, but, you know, she's going to make her choice. She wants to make a military career, so I'm not going to be the one to stop her from doing that. So it's a choice that we both make, and we live with it.
But should they both be called to action, they accept that 4-year-old Alana and the new baby would be left behind.
I like the military. I don't want to get out just for the sake of having to be a mom. I want to have a better reason than that. I mean, being a mom is what I am now, but I don't feel it's my responsibility to be forced out because I am the female.
There are few concessions to motherhood in the Army. No job sharing, no part-time work. Mothers get 45 days maternity leave before returning to the STARS program for another 6 weeks, then back to full duty. Sergeant Markham admits it's tough, but for her and the women of Fort Campbell, the program is more than just exercise.
You know, it says we care. We care about the fact that you're pregnant. We want you to stay in shape while you're pregnant. We care about your baby. We care about you when you have the baby, and it's a total commitment to the woman who's of childbearing age. And that in the past has not really been said loud and clear, and I think this will definitely say that.
Captain Sigwin hopes the program she helped launch at Fort Campbell last July can eventually be extended to other military bases.
Has frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to a potentially serious condition called acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Just 1 Prilosec capsule daily can provide 24-hour acid control. Prilosec is not for everybody. Only your doctor can decide if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain.
To learn more, call this number, ask your doctor or pharmacist, or see our Life magazine ad.
Want 24-hour acid control with just 1 daily capsule? Ask your doctor about Prilosec.
Only one retriever can hunt for houses. The new personal retriever from Coldwell Banker Online searches daily for homes matching your profile and brings them to your email. Tell it what you want. It'll go fetch. Coldwell Banker, making real estate real easy.
Dentuary's Polident's been improved, and everything's coming up mint. Only Polident has minty flavor crystals and 25% more mouthwash ingredient to help control denture odor. Try improved 5-minute Polident and get minty fresh every day.
Grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury.
They're ready.
The most enormous, ooey gooey, luscious.
Should we wake the others?
Let them sleep.
Now with more cinnamon.
They're not just big, they're grands.
Grandpa, can I marry you?
Oh, honey, you're so young. I could never keep up with you.
But Mom says that's why you think that.
Ensure is the #1 doctor-recommended supplement. It helps you stay healthy, active, energetic. As a snack or occasional meal, it's a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
I'm sure you'll marry someone even more fun than me.
Will you at least come to the wedding?
Sure. I'll be there.
Ensure, the #1 doctor-recommended supplement. Drink to your health.
In California hospitals, there's a severe shortage of experienced nurses, and CBS's Manuel Gallegos found some people who say patients are suffering because of it.
As a critical care nurse at UCLA's medical center, Lisa Spear treats seriously ill patients. But that care, she says, is threatened by a crisis. Too many patients, too few nurses.
And how can you go to a family and say, we did everything we could, when it's not true?
California's hospitals are coping with an alarming shortage of registered nurses in emergency rooms and critical care areas. Even at UCLA, considered one of the best, career nurses say the shortage puts patients at risk.
Everybody's being stretched to the limit.
I've actually seen nurses and doctors crying and saying if we'd had enough staff, we could have saved that patient.
The hospital denies they're understaffed.
If indeed you're asking me whether or not there has been a situation where patients have been either endangered or not got the quality of care that indeed they need, I'm not aware of a single situation at UCLA.
While its severity is debated, reasons for this shortage vary. California has 259,000 registered nurses, mostly women, but they're getting older. Average age is 44. And hospitals are losing skilled nurses to growing health care opportunities in the community.
Why should you be continually stressed for 12 consecutive hours, not get breaks frequently, and when you can work someplace else and get a similar wage?
Nurse staffing and in-house training programs have also been cut by hospitals, part of an overall downsizing to compete with managed care. This as nurses are replaced with less experienced, unlicensed personnel.
Nurses at the bedside aren't disposable. You are put in the hospital to receive nursing care. The doctor's with you for 10 minutes. The nurse is with you for 12 hours.
Recognizing they may have gone too far, many hospitals are now aggressively seeking experienced nurses, even offering signing bonuses. UCLA says it still attracts too many applicants, but knows the situation at other hospitals is more critical. Manuel Gallegos, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Former Connecticut Governor and Senator Abraham Ribicoff died today at the age of 87. A member of President Kennedy's cabinet, Ribicoff gained national attention for criticizing police brutality at the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago. Ribicoff had been suffering from Alzheimer's disease.
February, the beginning of the long Antarctic winter. When the last plane leaves the South Pole, so does any possibility of outside help. Left behind as the night comes on, the U.S. research station depends on Caterpillar, a world leader in diesel generators, to stay alive, proving when it comes to survival, we're the fittest.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Fibercon or Metamucil, both have fiber for regularity. But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
Once you see satellite TV, you gotta have it. The picture, the sound, all the channels. Thing is, which one do you get? I got Primestar. Know why? Primestar is the only company that stands behind their satellite system with a risk-free guarantee. If I've got a problem, I'm covered. Plus, Primestar was ranked #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power & Associates. Primestar. Every decision in life should be this easy.
Primestar Satellite TV. It's that good. Call 1-800-PRIMESTAR or visit your local Radio Shack.
Lung cancer. We reported how more women than ever are fighting and losing the battle against the disease. Monday, we'll tell you how, in spite of that, tobacco companies are cleverly targeting women. How are they doing it? You may be surprised when our Eye on America special series continues on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
The Olympic champion U.S. women's hockey team has struck gold again. Players pose today with the new Wheaties box that stars them and will be on cereal shelves next month. Harry Smith tells us the women's hockey team gave us only one of many memorable moments in Nagano.
From the opening ceremony 2 weeks ago, we had a feeling these Winter Games would not be filled with chants of USA, USA. The Americans had their moments, though. Peekaboo Street put an immediate and indelible mark on the Games. The American women's hockey team made history by winning the first ever gold medal in the sport. They were young women on a mission. They played with heart and soul. 3 cheers for Nikki Stone, Eric Burgess, and Johnny Mosley, gold medal stars all in their Don't Try This at Home sports. And Tara Lipinski. No one told her she couldn't win the gold medal in figure skating. Many foreign athletes won our hearts and lifted our spirits. Herman Meyer, the Herminator. His fall in the downhill will be shown forever as the kind of thing mortals don't usually walk away from. Herman, however, had other things in mind. Just days later, he won not 1, but 2 gold medals on the very mountains that would have shattered lesser men. Japan went wild for her ski-jumping heroes. It seemed every day they flew farther and farther. The farther they flew, the more frenetic the hometown fans. This country is weary of tough economic times, and the jumpers gave Japan a shot of pure, honest-to-goodness joy. The Czech Republic played Russia for the gold medal in hockey today. It was no coincidence that one of the Czech players wore the number 68 on his jersey. In 1968, the Czechs met invading Soviet tanks in their streets with flowers and poetry. Today, the Czechs beat the Russians with goaltender Dominik Hasek's sheer brilliance. The Russians were belittled, and the Czechs won more than just the game. We watched some drummers from a nearby town get ready for the closing ceremonies. The reverberations of their drums reach back to Japan's ancient samurai past. Those days of war are but a memory. Japan offered the games to us in love and peace. Would that the battles of the world could be confined to the fields of athletics. Harry Smith, CBS News, Nagano.
And that's the news. Stay with CBS tonight for full coverage of the Winter Olympics closing ceremonies. And on 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace in Baghdad with his profile of UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. I'm John Roberts, CBS News in New York. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Experience CBS News. CBS, welcome home.
Rocky Hendrickson for Hallmark Jeep, and now Volkswagen. Yes, Hallmark Volkswagen. Same location, same great people, and now we're offering those fantastic German-engineered world-class vehicles. During the entire month, we're lowering prices on everything to celebrate our grand opening, including Volkswagen, and the absolute best service in Middle Tennessee. Open when you need us, including Saturdays and evenings. Hallmark Volkswagen for price, service, and selection.
The UN Secretary General says we've struck a deal with Saddam Hussein. Up next, why Madeleine Albright